So I was in a convo earlier about Blue Beetle and Spider-Man. Okay, so basically, the convo was that we were talking about the whole DCU, and I was saying how James Gunn is going to basically change the game for a lot of IPs. They're going to want to hire guys like James Gunn, and I think that Star Wars might do something like that with hiring like a director that's into the content to kind of like be the president, kind of like what they did with James Gunn. We were kind of talking about that, and one of the things that came up was one of my friend Darren said, there hasn't been a good movie that's come out since Guardians. And my friend Matt said, there has been good movies. He said Blue Beetle. And I said, yeah. And Aquaman. I like Blue Beetle and Aquaman. So then Darren said, Blue Beetle is okay. All right. And I'm about to read this text verbatim because you probably agree with Darren more than me. But let me see. He said, okay, so this is what Darren said about Blue Beetle. He said, love the lead actor. Female lead was attractive but weak. A fun time overall, but nothing that really got me excited or verbally say this is super dope while watching. All right. And this is what Mr. Matthew said. He said, you could say the same exact thing about Spider-Man Homecoming.
Nah, bro. Nah. First of all, Blue Beetle is like a 4, okay? Spider-Man Homecoming tethers between an 8 and a 9. It's like an 8.5, an 85 if you don't like decimals, okay? Now, Blue Beetle was whack.
Did you rewatch it yet?
No.
You need to, bro. You need to. It's not as bad as you think, man.
All right, I will give it a rewatch.
Yes.
Not because of anything else other than I owe you for not seeing Aquaman 2.
All right, bet.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But it just wasn't that great of a movie. I don't think Blue Beetle is as great of a hero. And like anyone that you ask, even if they say, oh, I don't really like MCU Spider-Man as much as I like, Toby or Garfield, they will still tell you that Spider-Man Homecoming is a certified banger, okay? Spider-Man Homecoming was a coming-of-age story about Peter Parker becoming Spider-Man and, what that really meant for him in his life with his responsibility and sacrifice. And the thing is, I just don't think that Blue Beetle had as compelling of a story. The whole thing about Spider-Man is sacrifice. And yeah, there were some sacrifices made, but the sacrifices that Jaime made in Blue Beetle weren't by choice. And, Spider-Man had to sacrifice this girl that he was so obsessed with or in love with or whatever you want to call it. I don't know if he was really in love with her, but it was, his high school crush as he was growing up, whether that's love or not, but you get my point. Like, he had to sacrifice something because he had the responsibility to be a hero and not, put people in danger, which, he had to learn again and again in the trilogy. But, it was an awesome movie. Also, it had Iron Man in it, which really added to the story. He also declined becoming an Avenger. Like, that was an amazing movie. Blue Beetle, people were just happy that they even liked the movie, okay? It's entirely different on an entirely different playing field. And by no means is this a fair comparison. And it reminds me of, a couple weeks ago, like, I think I tweeted out, what did I write? I wrote something along the lines of, I wrote something along this. I think we overrated Spider-Man 2 PS5 and underrated Gotham Knights. And then I went back and picked up Gotham Knights again and was like, this is such mediocre garbage. Absolutely wrong. And I think that Blue Beetle is like a total, like, mid is a word that gets overused, but it's middle. I think Blue Beetle is a middle of the road movie. It's not great. It's not trash. It's just okay. Spider-Man Homecoming is much better than okay. Spider-Man Homecoming is fire. And don't let the fact that you're pleasantly surprised that you didn't hate Blue Beetle disrespect Spider-Man Homecoming. Because when you saw that movie, I promise you, the first time, you loved it. And that's not how you felt about Blue Beetle.
I hate comparing Marvel and DC films. I really do. And I was talking to Matt about this because I was like, why did Spider-Man have to catch a stray, right? Because in my opinion,
Spider-Man have a what?
I said, why did Spider-Man have to catch that stray? Like Spider-Man didn't do anything, to get broadcast. But the way that I feel, the way where I've been, bro, I stopped putting Marvel and DC films against each other. And the way I judge movies, right? I put Marvel films and Marvel films against each other. I can't judge DC and Marvel because Marvel is already established, And like for me, like I gotta wait for, and I don't know, like to me, James Gunn is comparing against the DC EU, his predecessor, So, and the same thing with Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige was never chasing after the DC EU. Feige was always trying to beat out the X-Men stuff, the old stuff that came before him, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, the Mark Webb Spider-Man. That was Kevin Feige's view. So I don't really like to compare either, but this is what I'll say. Blue Beetle is gas. Spider-Man Homecoming is gas. Case closed. That's kind of how I feel. I think Blue Beetle is a really good movie. I think Zolo is a great actor, number one. I love me some Zolo. I think that the girl, her name is Bruna, she did a great job. Fun fact, she used to date the soccer dude Neymar. But I think that I thought that Blue Beetle was awesome. One of the things that really threw me off about Blue Beetle, for some reason, the quality in the movie theater was so low. It felt like I was watching the movie in 1080p, which was kind of bad. But I even watched it on my 4K at home, and the quality was still bad. So I don't know what was going on there. They really need to fix that. But I think the Blue Beetle movie was great for what it was. It was a very small movie, and it did everything that it needed to do. There wasn't there was good enough drama. I think George Lopez was hilarious. I think, as I said, and I think Zolo just shined that role, and I think that with James Gunn, Zolo is going to shine as Blue Beetle, and we're going to see a lot more with him. Definitely the side of him being mentored by someone. So yeah, man, that's kind of. I think they're both gas. That's kind of where I'm at. Let's see.
I want to bring up another point, and a lot of people love making the argument, like, well, this movie did much more in box office. And listen, box office is important. It tells us how the studio feels on doing a next project and everything like that. But you can't compare quality of the movies by box office, especially something like this, because obviously an MCU Spider-Man movie with Iron Man in it is going to do a better box office number than a movie about Blue Beetle.
A Spider-Man movie in general. Spider-Man's the most popular hero of all time.
Exactly. And that's why I don't compare. It's not just because he's Spider-Man. It's because there is no better character management in the business than how Marvel handles Spider-Man.